Okay, it tells me that I'm live. We've had some technical issues here at the end of the earth this morning, but we are live now, and I'm excited to be here with you. We had some extra dirty puppy feet on our walk this morning, and then some technical issues when I get home. So if you're new to my world, tech issues are a thing sometimes. So technology and I have a bit of an evolving relationship, as I like to say, because it's not that, I'm not good with tech. It's just there's things to learn. And, we all know technology is absolutely wonderful, but it doesn't always work quite the way we want it to. But I'm really excited to be here with you today. Welcome to the Witches Rambles series. We are starting off 12 weeks of teachings. And today we're going to talk about the mind body connection and the breathwork bridge. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about my own story. When, I lived in chronic pain. I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia at 31 after living 31 years in chronic pain. And then I added chronic fatigue. There was diagnoses of depression and anxiety. And really, until about a decade ago, I needed help with pretty much everything, basic activities of daily living. And then when my marriage ended and I moved here to the end of the earth, I really started deepening my healing journey. I had just begun exploring, healing because I tried all the things, right? We did the physiotherapy, which made me feel worse. We did medications, which either made me feel worse or I had a bad reaction to, an intolerance to. And it really wasn't until I started really connecting with my body, connecting my mind and my body, that I really started to heal, because we tend to put ourselves into little compartments, right? We treat our body separately from our mind. If we go to therapy and we go to counseling, we tend to, we talk about our mind and our thoughts and our emotions, but we don't necessarily make that connection to how all of those things are impacting our body. And it was through connecting to my body and connecting to my emotions that I learned, a lot of my chronic pain was tied to suppressed emotions. And so we're going to delve into that a little bit further as we go through this series over the next 12 weeks. But today I really wanted to focus on the mind and body connection and the breathwork bridge, as I call it, because, connecting with our body is really the start of our healing. Rather than fighting it, leaning into it, rather than, putting it into a box and looking for a magic pill. We really start to connect with our body, and using our breath is a wonderful way to establish that connection if it's been a little, not so great like mine was. I fought my body a lot. I tried to push through, and then I would make it worse, and then I would be non-functional for a while, and it was just this vicious circle. But when you connect your mind and your body, then you're able to listen to your body. You're able to respond to your body in a new way. And our breath is such a powerful, powerful tool. And so something that happened over my healing journey was rediscovering my love of the human body and human anatomy, and that connection between our mind and our body. And again, establishing that connection is something that completely changed my life and changed my healing journey. Through the breath and that body connection, I discovered so many things. I healed so many things, rediscovering that love of the human body, rediscovering, um, leaning into gifts and abilities as a healer. I'm a natural born healer. I'm self educated. I'm not a doctor. I do not pretend to be one, but I do have a pretty extensive knowledge based on my own personal experience, as well as the things that I have learned and read and studied over the last decade. Really leaning into that. I'm a certified crystal healer. I'm a certified death doula. I'm a spiritual counselor and guide. And it all began with establishing this mind and body connection. And this is through our vagus nerve. So, our vagus nerve is our 10th cranial nerve. So in my day job, I work as a medical transcriptionist, which was actually kind of funny because I was basically looking for a job that I could do from home. And because where I live at the end of the earth, travel can be a challenge. I live in the country and so many different things. So going into this line of work as a medical transcriptionist actually helped to foster and deepen my knowledge of the human body and anatomy and therapies and medications and all of these things, and has really supported me along my path. And so now it's all of these things that I'm sharing with you. And the reason I'm calling this the Witch's Rambles, one is because I ramble. And two is I always have a topic in mind. I have a list of topics that we're going to talk about over the 12 weeks. But really, I don't have a plan. I don't have a list of notes. I don't have a plan when I come to talk here because I trust that what needs to be said will be said and what needs to be heard will be heard, and that you will get what you need from these rambles. So, I want to talk a little bit about the vagus nerve. So, the vagus nerve is our 10th cranial nerve, and it is unique in the body because it is the main connection between our mind and our body. The vagus nerve actually is bidirectional. So not only does it send messages from our brain to our body, it also receives messages from our body and brings them to the brain. And this is unique. Our vagus nerve is the only nerve in our body that does this. And the vagus nerve is kind of like a giant spaghetti monster. It comes from our 10th cranial nerve base in the brain, and then it travels down all through our body and works out, it connects to our heart, our lungs, down to our diaphragm, down into our abdomen. The upper area is the newer, the more evolved part of our vagus nerve, and then the subdiaphragm. So the part of the vagus nerve that is below our diaphragm is our older, more ancient, more reptilian part of the nerve. It was there first. And so when we use our breath to support this connection, we can actually activate and support our vagus nerve through using our breath. And this is why I call it the breathwork bridge, because it bridges that connection between our mind and our body. We can support and activate our vagus nerve through using our breath. So one of the ways I'm going to give you a couple of little exercises that you can do very easily. Working with our breath is one of the most natural things. It's the first thing, when we're born, the first thing we do is take a breath. And we breathe through our entire lives. And really, consciously using our breath to create that mind body connection, foster that mind body connection, to support our vagus nerve, which is our autonomic, our parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system. We can really start to change our body and its reactions to things. We can support our digestion. We can support healing. We can lessen pain through this breath work and through connecting our mind and our body. So I hope this is all making sense because, as I say, there's a reason why this is called the Witch's Rambles, because I ramble. But so when we are disconnected from our bodies, we are disconnected from our emotions because our emotions are energy in motion, right? So when we are suppressing our emotions, these get stored in our body. And for me, my anger that I was holding on to, that I wasn't moving through my body, was held in my hips. And it was the most incredible experience of my life when I was working with um, a psychiatrist, and he guided me through. It was a very intensive therapy session, and this was a different kind of therapy. This wasn't talk therapy. This was what it's called as intensive short-term dynamic psychotherapy. This is not for the faint of heart. Within the first 5 minutes of my very first appointment, I was in a puddle of tears because it brings up emotions and gets them moving out of your body. And in this one session, he led me through a visualization and a breathwork practice that connected me with the anger that I was holding on to, that I wasn't moving through my body, and that was stuck and stagnated in my hips. I mean, this hip pain, my earliest memory of pain is from age 2, and this was the hip pain. All through school, in university, it would wake me up from a dead sleep. The hips were aching so bad, and it made walking difficult. It was really awful. There's no other way to put it. But once I connected to, the mind and the emotional side of it and connected that to my body through this visualization, through this breathwork exercise, I walked out of that office without hip pain for the first time in almost 40 years. It was the most incredible moment, having actually released that anger and moved it out of my body through connecting, through the breath. And this is the power of the breath. This is the power of the mind body connection. Um, we're not separate bits and pieces, right? And the way our system is right now is we put things in boxes and we treat things separately. We treat the body separate from the mind, separate from the spiritual, separate from the emotional, and they're all interwoven. It is a web. They are all connected. We are not bits and pieces. We are a whole being. And so as we foster this mind body connection, so many things change. And like I say, releasing that anger through this visualization and breathwork practice was one of the most profound healing moments in my life. And I'm so very grateful for it and for the knowledge that came from that. That has, got me started and led me here to be talking to you now. And excuse me. So, very, very simply, one of the ways that we can bridge our mind and body through our breath is through heart centered breathing. So, this is connecting to the upper part of our vagus nerve and connecting to our heart energy, our heart space. And this is, the heart. When we're talking about chakras, another topic we're going to go into, when we're talking about chakras, our heart is our bridge between our upper level energies and our lower level energies. So our base, sacral, and solar plexus chakra bridges through the heart to our higher heart, throat, third eye, and crown chakra, and our upper soul star chakras and the upper chakras. Our heart is our bridge. So it's a really good place to start if you are in a place where you're feeling disconnected from your body, where you're feeling disconnected from your emotions. This is a really simple way to start creating that connection and nurturing that connection. And the changes are profound. People, I think, tend to dismiss and poo poo the simple things because they seem too woo woo or they seem too simple. It can't be that simple. Like, there's no way. It can't be that simple, but it is. And it's not easy to make these changes. It's not easy to, um, be consistent and be diligent in these things, but they are so simple and they make such a profound difference. Um, so connecting with the heart space. So a really simple breath work exercise that you can do is putting your hands on your chest, on your heart space, closing your eyes and imagining as you inhale that you are inhaling into your heart space. And as you exhale, allowing energy to move, right? That inhale and exhale starts to get that flow moving, starts to create and build that bridge between our mind and our body. And so I'm going to invite you to join me in doing just a brief heart centered breath work exercise to start to create that bridge for you. And so, if you put your hands on your chest, on your heart space, and close your eyes, and then we just take a nice, slow, easy, deep breath in. We're going to breathe into a count of 4 and breathing into our heart space, and we're going to hold it there, and then we're going to exhale for a count of 4, and we're going to pause, and then we're going to do it again. So we'll do this a few times. So we're going to go and breathe in, 2, 3, 4, pause, exhale, 2, 3, 4, in, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. Pause, 2, 3, 4. In, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4. And you'll notice that as you inhale and breathe into your heart space, you'll feel your chest rise up into your hands. And as you practice this, you will feel things settle calm. So, this is a really good one if you're feeling anxious, if you're having heart palpitations, when we are in a moment that makes us anxious, our body, our sympathetic nervous system activates and, pulls us into that fight flight, right? That's what anxiety is our nervous system activating that fight flight function that is there to keep us safe. But because of the world that we live in these days, we're not having to worry about, we're out hunting and there's a lion coming behind us. This is what this is what our sympathetic nervous system was designed to keep us safe from. But we don't live in that type of world anymore. But now we tend to live in this heightened state. Our nervous system is always activated, it's always overactive, and we don't have that mind body connection anymore. And our nervous system is, running off on tangents and thinking that we're in danger when we're not. And our breath can really help to calm us. And we're connecting with our vagus nerve. We're connecting with our nervous system. We are connecting our mind and our body when we do this, and letting our nervous system know that, hey, you know what? I'm okay. I am safe. There, this thing that you're keyed up about isn't actually a danger. And, unless you are, in a situation where, you are actually in danger and you want your nervous system to do its thing, because our nervous system is wonderful. We're going to talk so much about our nervous system, parasympathetic and sympathetic nervous system, and the way it works, and all of this. But this is just a basic beginning to help you establish that connection between your mind and body, and using the breath work as a bridge. So, connecting with your heart in moments when you have anxiety, when you are feeling stressed, when, there's all kinds of craziness going on around you, or when memories and emotions and things come up, using your breath to connect to your body and calm your nervous system is so incredibly effective. And this simple breath work exercise is life changing. It's simple. And the hard part is remembering to do it. So I encourage you to just kind of put it in your mind and pull it out whenever you need it. And that's the other thing. Our breath is always with us. It is with us from the first moment we are born, and it is with us until our last moment, our last breath on earth. And so it is such a beautiful tool that we have, that when we start to consciously use it, it makes all the difference in connecting our mind and our body, and helping us to move emotions through our bodies, right? We're meant to feel everything, and we are meant to move it through us. We are not meant to hold on to it. And it's when we're holding on to it that we have all kinds of issues come up. My anger was stored in my hips. I store grief in my neck and shoulders. But once you start to establish this mind body connection, you'll start to recognize where you hold your emotions in your body. And you will start to be able to recognize what's happening, and you will be able to start to move the emotions through your body more effectively, so that they don't get stored up, so they don't become stagnant, so that they don't become chronic pain, so that they don't become chronic lifelong issues, right? Because, I mean, let's face it, living in pain sucks. There's just no other way to put it. Living in pain sucks. So when we can, and not understanding that, a lot of what is in our bodies comes from emotions, comes from our energetic body, um, is something that keeps us from healing effectively. So the more we can establish this mind body connection, use the breathwork bridge, the more we can help and support our body in healing, because our bodies want to heal. Our bodies want to be healthy. Our bodies are designed to be, they are self-healing vehicles that we live in, and they are designed, when we sleep at night, our body shifts from keeping us going through the day, performing those, hundreds of thousands of functions every second that keep us alive and moving and going. At night, when we sleep, that's when our body shifts into full healing and regeneration mode. And so if we can support our body through the day, through our breath work, we can really end up going to bed at night in a calmer state. So we have better sleep, and we wake up feeling a little bit better every day, because we get a little bit better every day. This doesn't happen instantaneously, although it can, like with my hips. But that was, after work that had been done beforehand to establish that basis. And then when I was ready, and with the right guidance and the right tools, I was able to move that out instantly. And I remember walking out of that office and getting into my truck and going like, what the hell just happened? My hips don't hurt. They have hurt every day for 40 years. They have kept me awake at night. And it was gone. And now I recognize when my hips start to ache in that way, that there's something I'm pissed off about. There's something that's got me angry that I'm not acknowledging, that I'm not paying attention to, that I am holding on to the anger and I'm not actually moving it out of my body. And so then I can ask my body, what am I holding on to? I can ask the question and get the answer of what it is I'm holding on to. I can use my breath to get it moving, and then I can address the thing that is ticking me off that I've been ignoring and holding on to, and move it out. So instead of living with hip pain that's keeping me up at night for days and weeks and months and years on end, I can move it through in a matter of minutes or hours. Huge difference when you have that connection with your body. And I'm noticing this video is a little choppy. I hope it's okay for you guys. I hope the replay comes through okay. If you aren't able, if you can't, if you aren't here with me live, that it plays well when it's on the replay. Technology, as I said at the beginning, it is an evolving relationship, and I'm still waiting for better internet to come here to the end of the earth. It's on the way. We're very excited about this. And so as once it gets here, this is going to be much smoother, but I didn't want to wait to start doing these teachings because I think it's so important right now. Um, with everything that's going on in the world, um, and the deep level of disconnect that so many have with their mind and body. This is really important. And the more you can connect your mind and your body using your breath as a bridge, the more you can heal. And whether it's chronic pain, whether it's fatigue, whether it's depression, whether it's anxiety, meditation, breath work is fostering that connection. You are supporting your body through this work so that it can move out of being always keyed up, right? Our bodies, our nervous systems are in this heightened state, right? And we need to bring it down. We need to come into a state of homeostasis, come into a state of nervous system regulation, as opposed to the dysregulation that so many of us live in every day. And it's just become normal. You may not even realize that you are living in a state of a heightened nervous system because it's just normal. You've been living that way for decades and it's just normal. But you're noticing your body is hurting more. You're noticing you're more tired more easily. You're noticing that your emotions are a little out of control, maybe that your anxiety is happening more often. Maybe you're having panic attacks when you never used to. Maybe you're having panic attacks more often than you used to. And this is that heightened state that our nervous systems are in. And so the breathwork bridge can help calm and regulate our nervous system. And um, connecting with our vagus nerve, connecting, actively connecting through our breath with our vagus nerve to support our body. So we're sending the message through our vagus nerve to our body to calm down, to settle down. And then as our body settles down, the vagus nerve then takes that information back to the brain and says, hey, I'm calming down, I'm okay. And so there's this back and forth, right? And again, the vagus nerve is the only nerve in our body that does this. It's the only bidirectional nerve in the body, and it's connected to our digestion, our breathing, our heart rate, um, everything. So this is why I am starting with the mind body connection, and why it is, the basis for everything else. Because once we are connected to our mind, and connected our mind and our body and our emotions, and we start recognizing our wholeness, right? There's nothing wrong with us. We're not broken. We don't need to be fixed. We just know that we are whole beings, and connect with our mind and our body, not thinking of them as separate entities, right? So there is the heart centered breath work. And then there is also, in order to activate your vagus nerve, because vagal tone, so the better vagal tone you have, the better your vagus nerve works, and the more efficient your nervous system is. And you can actually activate your vagus nerve, get it into ideal, optimal function through your breath. And this one is when you breathe in. So your inhale is maybe 4 or 6 seconds, but then the idea is to let your exhale be longer than your inhale. And this activates your vagus nerve into its ideal function. And the more often you do this, the more you improve your vagal tone, and the more efficiently your vagus nerve and your nervous system works. So if you inhale for 4 and then exhale for 6, or 8, that was more like 8. You will actually feel tension start to ease in your body as you activate your vagus nerve in this way. Um, so I hope this is all making sense. And if you have questions, please leave them in the comments. I will be checking on those. If you um, like what you're hearing, please give me a thumbs up. If you think that there's someone in your life that you know that would benefit from hearing this, give me a share. If you want to hear more of the Witches Rambles as we go through this next 12 weeks, give me a little subscribe, and come join me for these lives. And we're going to talk about energy body and chakras, and so many different things. I have a long list of topics. I kind of expect this is going to go on for more than 12 weeks, but we're starting with 12 weeks. So I hope this all makes sense because, like I say, establishing that mind body connection, not thinking of yourself as separate bits and pieces, is really important, right? We are whole beings. And so we need to look at how everything works together, and find the ways, the tools that help us to um, maintain and nurture that connection and support our bodies in healing because they want to be healed. They want to be healthy. They want to be in their ideal form and function for us. So, again, using your breath, that breath work bridge, breathing into your heart space, that exercise with the inhale for 4, pause, exhale for 4, pause, and breathing. Imagine your breath going into your heart space and that exhale and inhale coming from and going to your heart space and creating that bridge. And then you can do the same with your hand on your lower abdomen and connecting with that area. So your sacral chakra, your chakras, breathing in, imagine your breath going down into your sacral, um, into and out from your sacral and getting that energy moving there. With any area that you feel pain in. So if there's pain in your shoulder, you can imagine your breathing into and out from your shoulder to get the energy moving. And when you do this, you may intuitively feel, you may have the knowledge come to you of what it is that you're holding in that space from an energetic or emotive. But it's first establishing that connection so that the um, route for the answer to come through is there, right? So that that bridge is there, so that that information can travel back and forth. And our breath is a beautiful bridge. Um, so, shoulder or hip or wrist or lower back, you can use your breath to establish a connection with that area and imagine breathing into that area and out of that area and getting the energy moving in that area. And like I say, as you do this, when you create that connection, you will get the knowledge, you will get the answers to what am I holding in this area, because you're establishing that connection with your vagus nerve so that it can take the messages from your body to your brain so that you can then do something with them, right? So that you can move that emotion out, whatever it is that you're holding in that area. Like I say, for me, anger I hold in my hips, grief I hold in my neck and my shoulders, which I actually didn't even discover that until earlier this year. with the sudden death of a woman that I love very and I was started to get headaches, which I don't really get headaches. I do get migraines on occasion, but they are silent migraines, so I don't actually get headache pain with them. But I was getting headache pain. And so using my breath, connecting to that area, and then asking the question, it was like, this is grief. You know, we hold grief in our heart space, we hold grief in our belly, but we can hold it in other areas of our body as well. And so this is why I say when you establish that mind body connection using the breath work bridge, you can get these answers to what it is that you're holding in that space. So whether it's grief or anger or sadness or loneliness or loss or it tends to be those type of emotions that create um, pain and dysfunction in our body when we're feeling happiness or joy or pleasure or passion or creativity. Those are very uplifting emotions to our bodies. And it's just as important to connect with them and allow them to move through our bodies as well, because we're not meant to hold on to emotions. They're meant to move through us, they're meant to be felt and expressed and moved through. Um, and particularly I don't like to say good or bad because emotions are just emotions, right? We're human. We are supposed to feel all of it. And it's because we've been um, told, you know, since childhood, don't cry, suck it up. It's okay. Just move on. Never mind stuff that like we've been taught to stuff um, these, what are considered negative emotions. We have been conditioned to shove these down and stuff them away, and then they get stored in our body, and then they cause all kinds of things like chronic pain, fatigue, depression, anxiety, digestion issues, IBS, high blood pressure, holding on to all of these things um, creates so much angst and difficulty in our bodies. And so, again, connecting with our bodies, connecting our mind and our body, not shoving shit down and pushing it away and ignoring it, storing it, um, and using our breath as a tool to move this energy, emotions are energy in motion. So using our breath to connect to our body, to what we're holding in those areas, and starting to get the energy flow going so that they move out, and so that we, get those answers. What am I holding here? How can I move it through? What do I need to do to change it? Our breath is a beautiful way to make that connection. Um, so I hope all this makes sense. If you have questions, please ask. I am happy to